Like many people my age, I've been following Bo Burnham since I was in grade school. And since his origin on YouTube, he's amassed critical acclaim in everything he's done. His sophomore album, Words, 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 was a fantastic evolution of what he initially did in his self-titled debut. His two stand-up routines, What and Make Happy. And though I wasn't the biggest fan of What, I still could see that he was evolving to become something more than simply a generic comedian that came out of YouTube. He preferred to focus on art, thinking about who he was and how he fit into that world. Simultaneously, he's always had a focus on bullying kids, children. If you listen to some of his unreleased songs, one like Nerds, it's all about the struggle that kids go through while in high school. His original screenplay that went unproduced, Fat Chick and Gay Kid, also delved deeper into themes of bullying, into the struggle of children, teens, what it is like to be alone in the world. So when I heard he was coming out with a film 8th Grade, I was intrigued. It seemed like the next logical step in his career. And let me just say, it is much more than a step. This is the exclamation point on what Bo Burnham has been trying to say for the past 5 years. What he has done is shed that outer shell of crass humor and vulgarity and opened up to a sensitive, more intimate nature to really discuss topics that aren't often addressed on screen. 8th Grade may be the best film of the year right now, and Bo Burnham has been trying to make this film basically his entire career. So the film follows Elsie Fisher as Kayla Day, a lonely, timid, shy 8th grade girl trying to survive the last week of middle school. And the emphasis here is really on survive. When you're young and struggling, there's always this message you hear, it gets better, that middle school doesn't last forever. When I was your age, I hurt too, but it doesn't matter anymore. Those statements feel hollow in those moments because it doesn't matter if it gets better later. It's just that it hurts now. 8th Grade rejects those messages and instead emphasizes what's going on in a kid's life at this moment. That the future seems so distant when the now is so unbearable. Bo Burnham chooses to put that suffering directly in your face. Makes you understand that for some, 8th grade can be the hardest part of your life. This film is the most realistic and intimate portrayal of adolescence I have ever seen put to screen. Despite what the trailers might show you, this film oozes naturality. Every single aspect of this film is striving to feel like it's from the real world. The costumes, the age of the actors, and especially the dialogue all feel pulled straight from the real world and put to screen. And you can tell that that was all intentional because every single part of this movie breathes with intentionality. And that can be obvious, the way it's written, how the actors are acting, but it also is in the subtle. The cinematography is beautiful. The sound design is so well put together. Bo Burnham uses this technique where anytime something dramatic or drastic will happen in Elsie's life, blaring noise comes out of the speakers. Because that's how she feels. Like this noise is drilling into her that she can't escape. It's beautifully well done, and it might seem crass at first, but it's used so artistically that this loud blaring noise just seems natural in the environment you're in. And Bo Burnham, he never pulls his punches. This movie will make you feel uncomfortable. It will make you cry. It will make you want to look away, but I beg you not to. Because every second you look away, you will be missing one of the best films, if not the best film of the year. And to take a back seat from Bo Burnham and compliment the cast, specifically Elsie Fisher is incredible. Oftentimes, child actors get criticized for simply playing themselves. They're playing a child. Well, what Elsie Fisher did on screen is one of the most intimate and affecting portrayals I've seen of a human being. Josh Hamilton, her father, also works wonders when paired with Elsie Fisher. They are so disconnected in every scene they're in together, but they're both working for the same goal. It truly feels like a parent-child dynamic where they just don't understand each other but want to so badly. And what I think elevates this film from great to incredible is the fact that there's basically no exposition. It doesn't need any. The exposition is your life. When you see these other kids bullying or struggling, you fill in those gaps with what it felt like for you in 8th grade. Now, something I will say that could be taken as a negative, but I do think it is truly a positive, is that this film will not be completely understood past a certain age group. I legitimately think that this movie is geared towards anybody 30 or younger that still remembers what it was like to be in 8th grade, that has these distant memories of loneliness, of seclusion, of being afraid. The reason I think this so much is when I was in the theater, the older demographic would laugh at moments that I couldn't. It was too real. And vice versa, I would laugh at moments that the older demographic just didn't understand. It's a weird dichotomy. Now, both groups seem to really appreciate the movie, which is where you can tell it's amazing, but I do think this film will hold a special interest for those that are younger and still have that inner child within them. Now, despite the constant praise I have been giving, there are 2 moments of the movie that I think are negatives, but 2 that are so small that you could forget these after I even said them. One of them, that blaring sound I talked to you about, though I think it is artistically well done, I do think at times it is so obnoxious and so in your face that it takes you out of the movie and makes you focus more on the sound and less on what's on screen, which I do think is a slight negative. Along with that, the mother of this family is out of the picture, and I really enjoyed the fact that they never make mention of it in the movie until the last 10 minutes. They specifically bring out why the mother is gone, and I wish they had just left that to audience interpretation. It's a single moment of exposition in a film that really doesn't need any. Now, suggesting films that are in line with 8th grade is super difficult, because I think what this film did was so unique. But I think there's 2 that kind of fit the bill. Kids, this 1990s movie, it was criticized for this harrowing, disgusting depiction of what kids are like. Now, I don't think it tackles the same subject matter as 8th grade. It's a very different movie. But what it does show is a depiction of children and teens that is not often put to screen. It sends a message that kids are not what you think they are adults, and maybe you should think of them as their own person once in a while. The other movie that I think could kind of be suggested in the same line with 8th grade, Superbad. Totally different movie, different message, different everything, but what it does do is it shows teens and kids as they actually are. And that's what I think this movie does so well, is it shows what kids really are. And so I don't think there's a movie that's like 8th grade. I think this film broke a lot of new ground for adolescents and children put to screen. But if I was to say movies that kind of take a similar vibe, Kids and Superbad. Overall, Kayla Day's 8th grade year was nothing like my 8th grade year. But I related to Kayla more than any protagonist I've seen on screen in years. Bo Burnham was able to make a film that everybody will be able to find themselves in. If you were ever lonely or scared or thought you might never find your place, 8th grade will feel like it was made specifically for you. Please go watch this film. You don't get many like it.